Welcome everybody to the weekly WP Roundup with BJ Keeton. That's me. Every Friday afternoon we get together and we talk about a list of WordPress related news, tutorials, and resources that were published this week. We want to make this a really interactive show, so feel free to talk in the live chat, say hello, ask any kind of questions that you've got. We really want this to be a community where we can help each other, so feel free to take part. Make sure that you expand the description of this video because that's where all of the links are that we'll be talking about. Click through the ones that seem interesting, save them for later, and then you can give those content creators the credit that they have, because without them we couldn't do this. So I'm seeing some comments come in. Hi everybody, filling your browsers with tons of new tabs just after you get them cleaned out for the week. So hopefully we'll be able to fill those right back up for you. I see folks from Melbourne, Australia, England, all over the place. It is crazy where everybody comes in. It's from Sydney, Australia. It always blows my mind that people from all over the world and so many different time zones are tuning in. It's one of my favorite things about live streaming. It's that I get to talk to everybody like all over. It's really cool. From France too. That's fantastic. I've never been to France. I would like to go sometime. I may be going on a day trip if we can in the spring while we're in Italy. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to be able to, but I would love to go to France. Anyway, let's get started. I'd want to bring up before we actually get into the news, tutorials, and resources, just to remind everybody that Black Friday is in 6 days and 8-ish hours. We are having an elegant themed Black Friday sale. You can check out all of the details with the first link in the description of the video. I also bring this up to let you know that this is the biggest discount that we have every year. It's a 25% discount, where we will not have a bigger discount at any point during the year. So this is your opportunity to do that. We have a ton of freebies and giveaways for folks who purchase and upgrade during the sale while that's going on, as well as for layout packs and really fantastic stuff for existing members only. And I wanted to remind you guys that we are doing another giveaway, that we're giving away a Mac Pro again. We're giving away another Mac Pro, the cheese grater tower, if you've seen that. So make sure that you go and enter that, because it is an amazing machine that very few of us can just straight up go out and buy. So why don't you get one given to you? It is really awesome. It's worth over $6,000, and we're giving that away. So please go check that out. This is a completely separate giveaway from when we had done it before. So if you entered that one, this is an all new one. So make sure that you do that and you sign up for this. Yeah, Dave, this is the second of them. This is with its 2 Mac Pros. So we had the winner of the first one, and now there's this one to push for before Black Friday. So check it out. Enter. Y'all know that you want to win that, because I know that I want to win it, and I am not eligible. So y'all go. Let me live vicariously through you. I see some questions in the comments. I want to address. Wow, from Alberta, before I even get to that, Pakistan, Alberta, Canada, Argentina, Arkansas, India. It just makes me so happy, y'all. It just makes me so happy. Anyway, I see that CKM, no, excuse me, I was, where was the question? I saw a question, but now I don't. Oh, there it is. CKM, I really appreciate that. The greetings. I do appreciate that. We work very hard on our tutorials. Okay, so is there any plugin? This is the question that I saw, and then the chat scrolled up beyond. Is there any plugin to add a pop-up as a login in Divi? I would appreciate it to show graphically because I don't understand English. Very good English to ask that, though. So that is don't give yourself may not be giving yourself enough credit. login as a pop-up in Divi, you could have mouse over login forms. I don't know of a plugin that does it personally. I know they're out there. I've seen those, but I don't remember any of them. Maybe somebody in the audience can remember the specific name of them. But right now, my brain just decided to go away. But I can't remember any of the pop-up form login things. I mean, you could probably do that in Contact Form 7 or Gravity Forms. Oh, and I see George said I'd missed it as I was looking at the camera. Divi Mega Pro from Divi Life. If that would do it, that's awesome. That is a very good. That is a very, very good plugin. I like it. And Karashan asked why Divi layout is not responsive for mobile. We're working on that. There should be some responsive updates coming soon. I'm not sure what the schedule looks like, Karashan. We're working on a breakpoint update where you'll be able to set your own responsive points, where if you don't want it to go to mobile, or a tablet view at a certain place, or you do want to go to mobile, but maybe for very small screens, you can do that. So you'll be able to have that option when we get that feature out. We're really looking forward to that because we also would like to be able to set the breakpoints, but I think you're going to get a lot more responsiveness out of it once we get that. That one is being worked on by the dev team right now, as far as I know. MB asks, when is the header menu section updated and mobile menu? If you could explain your question just a little bit, MB. Awesome from Denmark, by the way. That I'm not sure when updates to those are going to be coming. I know that that we're going to continually make updates to them, but I actually don't know. Excuse me, I actually don't know when they are, but I know that I've heard heard things in the background, but I don't know when the things are going to be updated. But this is the first iteration of the theme builder, so as we get modules and everything going and new iterations out, those will be updated because we do know that those are losing my train of thought on that because I got distracted by a comment. We know that this is the first iteration of the theme builder. Those things are needed, and people are talking about those. I see Georgie, probably mispronouncing that one on Facebook, says, thanks for the new Divi. One question, are global elements WPML compatible? And as far as I know, yes. There should be no difference in those and normal Divi modules, so I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be being able to do that. Yeah, and I see MB says, yeah, the theme builder header menu needs a lot of features out of the box, not CSS tweaks. And that's something that I know that we're going to be addressing as the, well, I guess as the theme builder exists. I don't know how to say that. As it gets a little bit more life in it, we'll be able to really dig in and address those issues that people are bringing up, like you said. And Douglas asked, what was that Divi form plugin called? They were mentioning the Divi Mega Pro from Divi Life. That one helps you do mega menus and other kinds of forms and pop-ups like that. And then, let's see, did I miss one? And Video Superhero asked if anybody is focused on accessibility plugins. So if so, on YouTube, we have some, maybe able to put some people together there. So I want to move forward into the one piece of news that I really found this week. There was a lot of stuff going on, but there wasn't anything that I really wanted to call news. I just wanted to call out this one very briefly, that they have announced at the Make WordPress Core blog that there is a tentative release calendar for WordPress updates in 2020 and 2021. They've put out the 5.4 to 6.0, so we can know when the next big updates are coming. I mean, we know that 4.0 with WordPress was a really big deal. 5.0 was probably an even bigger deal because we got the Gutenberg block editor. And then I know a lot of us are kind of afraid of what 6.0 could bring, because anytime you have a new full point release, I mean, things can go a little crazy. But one thing we do know right now is that 6.0 is not planned until the 7th of December 2021. They have an outline of every major release that we've got from 5.4 to 6.0 outlined from March 31st, 2020 all the way to December 7th, 2021. So just keep it in mind. Like, I'm on there. I put this on there just so that all of us can keep in mind that the WordPress that we know right now is still going to be here at least within 2 years. We're not going to see any like super mega changes, because those usually don't happen within the smaller updates like 5.3 to 5.4, but we'll get some definite functionality updates and upgrades and quality of life improvements over the next 2 years. But it kind of soothed me to know that we have a full 2 years, over 2 years, to look at before we get WordPress 6.0. So we'll get used to Gutenberg. We're going to get used to what all the theme editor and Divi can do. We have plenty of time to really work in what WordPress is becoming right now before something else major is thrown at us, like the block editor. And like I said, I just really liked knowing that that they're not going to be pushing a lot of huge stuff out over the next like 6 months or something, that we're going to get 6.0 next year, which is not the case. So I'm really excited about that. I was glad to see that. So those are all tentative. They're all set. You know, they're not set in stone. They're all malleable, but it's pretty good to know that they're looking at the long term at this point and not the immediate future as far as big updates go. Yeah, and I see, George, that George and Tutorware are talking. Tutorware says that I just started with Divi, and George says in the live chat that you know, we were all at the beginning once. Good luck, and this is a cool community and a lot of people around to help. And that is my favorite part about the Divi community and the wider WordPress community. Don't be afraid to ask questions. For anybody, I know that we always have new people to Divi and new people to WordPress in the audience who watch this. And so I really do just want to take a second and say, please ask questions, and online, in forums, on Facebook groups, in YouTube live chats, Facebook live chats, whatever it is. The community around Divi and WordPress is phenomenally helpful, more so than most online communities that I've ever been a part of. So I cannot stress enough, do not feel bad about asking questions if you're a beginner, because we all have to learn. I'm learning stuff from you guys every week as we do this, and I've been using WordPress since 2.7, I think, like 11 years ago. So it's been a while, and so it's really really a good community. Also, make sure that you look at meetup.com/DiviNation. We have a lot of WordPress meetups that are specifically centered around Divi that we sponsor and run and approve of, and you can check those out wherever you are and see if there are any near you that you could meet. And if you want to host one, we also have Raquel Landefeld setting up the network and working with people to get new and set up all the time. So like I said, if you're new and you want to learn and you just want to really get involved and know Divi, we have a lot of resources set up that way for you too. Just wanted to let you guys know, in case you weren't aware, that we have those meetup groups and things across the world. I see I see Uncle Social says, excited about WordPress 6.0. Remember, Windows Vista was actually Windows NT version 6.0 and how well that turned out. That's true. I'm not going to hold it against WordPress for being on version 6 as bad as Vista was. But I'm also one of the people who actually had no problems out of Windows ME, if you remember it. And I see MB also asked, will Divi at some point minimize the style.css to have only the things in there that I use in my design? I just installed a theme that does that, and I got a speed A rating without any cache. I honestly do not know. That's something that I've seen people ask about. I've seen people talk about pulling CSS and the code for modules that aren't loaded in the builder, that we can load individual modules into the builder and pull them in that way. I don't know the status of how that is going to be handled, if that's going to be handled. I don't know. I know that the dev team and support team and everybody has brought that up and probably looking at ways to best work on that issue. Right now, the only the only thing I can say is make sure that you have gone into the Divi options in your WordPress backend, and make sure that you have Minify JS and CSS files, because if those are if those are disabled, not unenabled, if those are disabled, make sure that you enable them, because they do make a big difference to minify those files. But I agree with you that would be fantastic, and I've seen people mention that in the dev team is I like how the dev team is aware of that. I got distracted by Isom's comment on YouTube with the I like how people come to the defense of people with newbie questions when they're bullied. I agree that kind of thing about the WordPress community, and us in particular. I say us as the Divi community. I can't. It just it warms my heart. I see Universo asks on Facebook, the speed that Google shows Divi pages on mobile is very low. If we buy it with the speed of PC, is it necessary to use AMP with Divi? Thanks. I don't think that it's necessary to use AMP. I know a lot of people who don't use AMP. If you use a caching plugin, it helps a lot. WP Fastest Cache, I see that Antonis has said that on Facebook. Making sure that you use an image compression plugin really helps. And I know a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, I honestly don't remember when it was, we were talking about WebP images, where if you're looking for mobile specific speed improvements, WebP images are one that you can look at. And if you look at the third link under the tutorial section here in the description of this video, we have an article on how to use WebP images instead of JPEG or PNGs, so that you can save about 30% of your image speed. I know that some people were asking about that when we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and it goes right with what you're talking about here, where you don't necessarily have to use AMP if you use stuff like that to serve WebP images. If you use lazy loading like in Jetpack, you can use a CDN to deliver things like that, which is actually what Jetpack does if you have it configured correctly. But caching is my very first one, like Antonis said on Facebook, because caching just helps. I mean, it just makes everything super fast, especially for pages that don't get updated every day or something like that. Caching is super important. Man, there's so much commentary. It makes me happy. Let me see where I was. Kier asks, absolutely loving the theme builder question. Is there a way without CSS to set image caption text size in the post content module? Don't know. I don't think so. I've not seen that. That's a really good, that is a really good idea. I see Uncle Social was like, definitely a feature request for elegant themes. The best way to get that in is hit our support team, make a feature request. just leave an email and do that. That's a really good, really good idea, because I've always used CSS, and you're right, that's something I've never really thought of. That would be really awesome, because I've always just had to go in and use CSS to do it myself. I see Anthony says on Facebook, it's true about the images. Divi makes a great job with responsive images and the option to change images on different devices. And that, like I've said before, is going to be even greater with the breakpoint changes that are coming. So that's going to be really cool. Douglas says that SiteGround has the best caching. Their SG optimizer... Oh, excuse me. Their SG optimizer plugin works really well. I have been experimenting with it some while at you guys' suggestion, actually. So it's really really good. But yeah, I've had good luck with SiteGround caching as well. I also use WP Fastest Cache, because that's the one that is the simplest for me to use. I see MB says, for newbies, I just invested in CSS Hero, which is a very good tool if you're not that good at CSS. I haven't used it. I've heard of it, so I'm glad to see the recommendation. Thank you. And yeah, Kira, when I don't know something, I have no poker face. This was one of the things that I've learned over the years as a professional. That is just a weakness of mine. I do not have very good control over my immediate emotions. I had a meeting with my one of my old bosses at my former job, and he just looked at me. We were having a very serious discussion, and he just stopped in the middle of a sentence and looked at me and said, "What? What is it?" And I was like, "I don't like it." He's like, "I don't care if you like it. You're going to do it." I was like, "I know I'm going to do it. I just don't like it." And it's like I couldn't hide my my emotions on that one, where it's like, I'm gonna do what my boss tells me to do, obviously, but it's like I can't hide the disdain that I had for doing that. And that was when I learned that, and I had to work on it very very hard after that meeting, when I learned that knowledge about myself. And Douglas said the SG has server-side caching too. I didn't know that. Good to know. Thank you, Douglas. I'll have to actually look into the details on that one, because I've not... I'm sure I take advantage of that, but I've never done it. But yeah, no, I cannot play poker. I won one single poker tournament my entire life. I was in college. I lost the next one really hard, and just completely, I don't do it now. So, so sorry, no new car for you, MB. But moving forward into the tutorials, and keep the questions and comments coming, you guys. This is what we do this for. This is what I love this show for. So please keep them coming. Under tutorials, the first one I have is a very, very non-WordPressy article that I could not resist putting under the tutorials, under the top of the tutorials, actually, on how to make an animated PacMan in CSS. Now, I put this here for two reasons. One, because it's awesome. Because if you click into the link, the first one under the tutorials link, you will see a CSS Tricks article that really does just give you an animated image of PacMan getting fed the little bullets that that he eats. The reason that I included this, though, is because CSS animations are something that I am really not good at. And like MB mentioned a second ago, that if not everybody is good at CSS and you need something else, this is a pretty fun tutorial to learn how to do that kind of animation, to look at the shapes, to check it out. So it's really, really cool, in my opinion, to be able to do it on using the keyframes for animations, with the clip paths, the way that they're setting it up. And I just think it's awesome. And it's one of those where they've made a tutorial where I am fairly certain that there is going to be a website that one of you designs out there somewhere that you're gonna need to put an animated PacMan on at some point. And by need, I mean want, and that you're gonna do it. So, but I thought it was really neat, and it's a really interesting way to learn a few CSS animation tricks while doing something that's pretty interesting instead of just the kind of normal, ordinary, make this box slide to the left kind of animation. George says he's talking about the memcached options in SG Grow Big and Go Geek. It's fast but eats inodes like nothing else, but I still use it. I bet I've got that enabled, and that's why I keep running out of inodes. That's look at you fixing my problems, George. You are just super helpful for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, that check out the PacMan. It's actually really cool. I'm very, very happy to bring that to you. That said, the Elegant Themes blog, again, we're still working through different kinds of theme builder tutorials really to teach you how to do it. Donyetta this week did how to create a rotated global header with Divi's theme builder. I know that you guys are looking at different styles for headers and want some more options with it. Donyetta has a template that you can download here to use it this way, and a tutorial to learn the options to make it this way as well. It looks really cool. I like the rotated ones at 90 degrees to show what they are on the side of the screen, menus like that. So it is beautiful, just like everything else that she designs. It is delightful, and you want to download it. The next one I've mentioned before, just make sure that you check this out. It's the how to serve WebP images instead of JPEG or PNGs. Like I said before, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week. And it is a plugin called Optimole that I've used. It was the quickest and easiest to set up of the ones I tried. There is another one called WebP Express that is also very highly recommended. I haven't had any luck with it. I had much better options with Optimole, but I did. We had comments about it, and I've seen them online and other places that WebP Express works very well for folks. It just happened to be that my experience was not great with it. So those are the ones that I would suggest using if you need to get WebP up and going on your servers. I see Uncle Social says, Donyetta's live stream was amazing. It's worth watching just to see how she moves through the Divi menus. It gave me a real insight into proper workflows. Yeah. Watching on retreats, watching Donyetta work in Photoshop and Sketch and everything is mind-blowing. And it's the same with the live streams. Watching Jason and Donyetta move through the Divi modules and the menus has made me a better user. That's how I've learned how to use Divi. So if y'all haven't watched any of the live streams on Tuesdays, it's at this time on Tuesday afternoons at 3 p.m. Eastern. Y'all should check those out. They're really, really cool. They go along with our Tuesday blog posts. And then George says the theme builder has saved me like 20 hours of work just today, so I'm happy. I'm just gonna give the celebratory arms up in the air for that. That makes me happy. That makes it worth all of the dev team's effort when it shows, what it's doing, what it's supposed to do, and people are able to take advantage of it. So that's fantastic to hear. And then the last of the Elegant Themes tutorials, that I wanted to call out today was just how, and for Divi specifically, was how to create an animated promo bar to page templates in Divi. The animated promo bars are like very useful. You guys have seen them on the Divi site with the things that come up. It's a promo bar at the top of your screen, and Jason is showing you how to do that with Divi. So with the theme builder, like, it's really cool because usually that's the kind of thing that you've got to use a plugin for, and being able to do that in Divi is something I honestly didn't know that you could do. So seeing Jason being able to do this in Divi with the theme builder, it blows my mind at the things that they're able to come up with, because I've always had to use something like Hello Bar or something like that. So having an animated promo bar within Divi in the theme builder was crazy to me. So definitely check that out, especially if you want to save yourself from having a plugin installed for that kind of thing. Because apparently you don't need one with Divi with that one. So crazy times. Then let me see what time it is. So I've got time. There are various tutorials that I've put on here. How to add maps to your WordPress contact form 7. How to restrict WordPress forms to login users only. And then Securi has a really good one that you should look into called How to Recognize a Phishing Campaign. I love Securi's blog because it shows they deal with what's actually going on right now in WordPress security, and they are breaking it down on what people need to look for phishing scams, where they're trying to get your info or your user's info or your client's info. So this is an article that you probably should read over just to refresh yourself on what you can tell your clients. I mean, they're genuine looking, but odd requests. Always, the emails, like I got... One of my friends works in higher education, and he told me recently that that somebody had clicked on an email that they shouldn't. That was a spoofed email that was like this, like use like security bank name at Gmail instead of like bank name, at important@bank.com or whatever it is. But those are, they clicked on it and it shut down the entire network. Like they had to go around and clean every computer on campus manually. And that's why having these kind of things, and y'all know, I know that y'all know this, but just maybe think about this as a way for your clients to share some stuff with your clients on what to be on the lookout for. Don't click indiscriminately, that kind of stuff. If they use stuff like fast action required, I love this because people are always like, oh my goodness, I got this email 8 hours ago, but it says it's only 1 hour. I wonder if I can do that now. And they click it, and all of a sudden it's they're infected. Lots of typos, just general things like that. I liked this because it has specific examples of what your clients will probably need to know about at some point. So, excuse me, my throat is getting very dry for some reason. I have a comment on Facebook that says, is there any way to have a countdown timer redirect to a different page or show or hide parts of a page when it expires? Again, I don't know. I'm hoping that somebody else has had that happen, because I have legit never used a countdown timer. That would be awesome if it did. If that is built in, I've never used it, so I can't say. I feel really bad about that. But that is absolutely an idea that I'm writing down. I am just straight up copying your comment, Jay, as a note to myself, so that I can throw that either at one of our people as a feature request, or as a maybe that would be a good tutorial, because I actually don't know the answer to that. Hopefully somebody on Facebook or YouTube has had to do that, because I don't know. I'm sure there's a plugin that does it. I know that George says on YouTube that there's a plugin that can show and hide content or sections based on a timer, and he's looking for the name right now. I'm not sure. In Divi itself, it seems, I don't know. That would be a great feature. But yeah, thank you, George, for looking into that. I'm going to move on for just a second, Jay, and I'll be back with that when we know. Gino Carraz has the 3D flip cards for Divi, right underneath the phishing scam article in the middle of tutorials. He has a lot of CSS. That's one of the things that I like about his blog. I know a lot of people don't like using CSS with Divi, and that's a-okay. that's what Divi is for, so that you don't absolutely have to. What he has done here is set up a row with different animated flip cards. You can see the live demo within it, and he also gives you all of the CSS that you need for this, as well as explaining what it does. I bring this up specifically for people like MB, who had mentioned before that it's just not very good at CSS. Well, I don't consider myself good at CSS at all. Like animations and really advanced stuff really just, it eludes me on being able to write it. I can read it and edit it, that kind of thing. But this is the kind of tutorial that I went through over time, that I still go through to learn how to do individual things in CSS and different kind of programming languages, where he breaks down individual snippets of what to do. And so I really like that, because this one is Divi specific while also going into the CSS animations and, on hover and things like that you can use yourself, that you can use on different projects. So I'm always happy to see Divi specific CSS tutorials. There we go. With the 3D flip cards. And the reason it's 3D flip cards is when you click into the demo link, you'll see that there is a separation from the title, and the card is a two-dimensional picture, and then the text is separated from either side as it rotates, and it is a very cool effect. So it is different than just having an animated flip card, so it's worth checking out to see some cool stuff with that you can do with CSS. Like I said, I am always impressed by the stuff people figure out that they can do with Divi on top of what our development team has already put in. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I have multiple questions, so let me read this. Let me see here. Sorry for the dead air, just trying to read and get it. MB says, I had a problem today when I was trying to set the global footer in the theme builder in the Divi library. When I was trying to set a global footer in the theme builder. In the Divi library, I had a footer. The category was footer, and the type was section, and I couldn't see that footer when I went to import it. Uncle Social responds with the... and George as well, make sure it's saved in your Divi library as a layout. That way you can import it. Sections, rows, modules from the Divi library, they won't import into the theme builder footer section. And so yes, that. And then Linda Bodkin asks, is there a way to set up a global footer for every page except the home page? And I think so. If I'm not remembering wrong, that you should be able to put either an exclusion on there or uncheck homepage. I'm not 100% sure on that. You could also do the backwards way of doing it and create a specific one for the homepage. That kind of overwrites it, and then you also have the really hacky way that I've done things in the past of using display none on the global footer for CSS. It is by far not it is by far not the best way to do that. And I see some answers on the YouTube chat to that are better. Create a new template in the theme builder and apply it only to the home page, then duplicate any existing theme builder templates by right-clicking on it. Yeah, that's true. You would just use all of them that are global, use the exact same thing that was global, except for that footer as a secondary template. And then just make a custom footer and select for specific pages only. Is what George says. So yeah, there are multiple ways to get that one done. Thank you guys for throwing in some ideas about that, both of which are better than my display none idea. by the way. Like I said, I take the hacky routes for a lot of things that you guys do much, much more smoothly and efficiently and effectively. CSS Tricks also has a really, really in-depth tutorial on how to remove unused CSS from a site. So I know that this one goes back to kind of what I can't remember who it was that said it earlier. If it was MB or it was MB had mentioned about the minified CSS. If there is a site like that you want to undo, you can use this trick from CSS Tricks to get that. I know that it's not as easy as just clicking one thing, but they do have a way to remove any unused CSS that's loading but not actually being applied, which is something that I think is really awesome that CSS Tricks does, because not everybody is going to need that, but they put out content that is so specific that there is somebody who is going to need it, and if they didn't create it, like it's got such specific use cases that it would be hard to find outside of things like Stack Overflow. So I really appreciate CSS Tricks for being able to make that kind of content. And Linda says she tried that, but it didn't work. Guys like to create one for the homepage and then only do global for any other page. Yeah, that may be. I hate that for you, Linda. Like that's frustrating. There's always something when it comes to using global that messes up for me. I know. Global, I love the idea of, and always end up having to set some that aren't global afterward, because I think that I'm like, oh, I've got this solved, and then I don't. So I feel the pain with that one. WP Beginner has a really good tutorial on just 7 ways to get an 800 toll-free number for your business. Just put this in here specifically for you guys who want that kind of thing and have thought about it and don't really know where to start. Here's some places to start. And then WooCommerce has a really, really awesome one on just a guide, a few ideas that you can use on how to use subscriptions to create recurring revenue for an online store. This is just something at this time of year that I wanted to make sure you're thinking about, that as Black Friday comes, as the holidays are coming and people start Christmas shopping, one thing that people do sign people up for are subscriptions. That whatever it is that you offer or your clients offer, you can set up recurring subscriptions through WooCommerce, and these kinds of products really, really sell. That like, how many times do you know somebody who's gotten someone else like a 3-month Netflix subscription and then they continue it on afterward? It's a really viable business model, and if you're not offering subscription services for different things on your e-commerce sites, it might be worth considering. I mean, I'm a runner, and just last week, maybe it was this week. What is this, Friday? Of course it's Friday. It was this weekend, actually. I set up a subscription for Honey Stinger energy chews for while I'm running long distances for fuel. I set up a subscription for it. The water that I drink out of during the stream here is a subscription service that I get the flavor canisters to bring in, so that I don't have to worry about getting all the way worse more artificial ones at the store and just keep having them shipped to me. So my point on this is that if you haven't considered subscription services for whatever it is that you sell, there really might be a subscription that people would take advantage of, and it could create recurring revenue for you. And this time of year is one of the best times to do it and to launch it, because you can do a Black Friday launch next week, because you can get an entire campaign ready in under a week to be able to give a discount for people, and then recur higher charges later. So it's it's definitely something that works, and it's why, it works, and it's why so many people and companies are going to that model for different services like Adobe Creative Cloud. The Mario Kart app on the iPhone has a subscription service inside to get extra challenges and things like that in it. These kinds of things work, and people are willing to pay for them. So check that article out at the bottom of tutorials and consider it for yourself. I hope you guys can find something that works for you. Excuse me. I've talked so much that my voice is getting a little hoarse. Had to get more drink. Also, under resources. Now we've only got about 10 more minutes. About 10 more minutes, so I want to point out the top one under resources to you guys. At some point, and I don't remember when, someone on this stream mentioned cart flows, had asked about cart flows and how to use it, what we thought about it. There is an overview and review on the Elegant Themes site now of cart flows for you. I wanted to make sure that you knew about that, that it was specifically for whoever it was who asked what I know about cart flows. And I don't know much about it, but I guarantee you that this article does. So check that out. I know that I've said it before, like if you have that question, then somebody else has that question, that old teacher adage, and it was the same way. If you want to know about cart flows, then that means somebody else on this stream wants to know about cart flows. So thank you for that recommendation, and it is now live on the Elegant Themes blog because of you. I see MB asks, will ET at some point change the pricing? How long can they get new customers? It will be fine to pay $50 yearly for the current price is way too low, and it could bring Divi even further. We disagree. I have not heard any talk whatsoever of changing the pricing model. One of the things we're really, really proud of is that we have a very, very, very high quality product that is affordable for people. We're really proud of the fact that you can take a one-time price of $249 and create a web design agency out of it and really start a business with that. We want those kinds of things to happen. We're always looking at different ideas. I'm not saying that we're not going to introduce other things at some point, because who knows what the future is going to hold for any product. But right now, I know that we are really happy, and we're still growing, getting new subscribers. So I think it's right now our focus is on you guys. We're focusing on y'all to make sure that we give you the best possible experience, and we feel that the membership option like this works because we do know that an annual subscription like that would absolutely work. We have people on recurring annual subscriptions right now, and that's why we push on the lifetime as well. That if you can get that jump up, it is just that lifetime, and it is that jump up. And remember, our Black Friday sale is 25% off, and you will not get a better price at that. But really, it is our best discount of the year, so that's why we push people toward it too. It's crazy that I agree that it's crazy. It's one of those where I've paid more than that for a year of a premium theme and builder combo before, when I first started using WordPress professionally, and it was only later that I ran across Divi and switched to it. So before I worked here, so it was really, I understand what you're saying. And I see Uncle Social says, I agree. I want to give Elegant Themes more money so that they can get a better dev team, or clone me. Definitely clone me to create new features faster. I'm sure that we take donations. My PayPal email is, I'm kidding. But we do really appreciate lifetime members, and we want to continue having those kinds of relationships is, I guess, the best way to put it. We want to have those relationships with people and creating for a specific community who we know really cares, appreciates, and can help champion the product. I see some people saying the stream froze, and that makes me sad. I'm not seeing it on my end, so I'm hoping that is going to rectify itself soon. the get back down on here. Velocitize under the resources has a fun article on 7 killer marketing videos on YouTube. I'm a sucker for marketing videos and podcasts. If you are too, there are some really good ones in here to watch. The 10 best plugins for extending the block editor. This is very important that WP Mayer did. I say that this is important because Gutenberg is here to stay. We are working on the Divi Gutenberg Volume 2, Version 2, the second version of our Gutenberg integration that should launch at some point. We're working on it. And so you're going to have a lot more seamless integration soon. And so looking at plugins that can expand that builder as well is going to only make your lives better. Things like stackable Gutenberg blocks, they look really cool. I've seen those before and I want to play with them. They have cadence blocks listed. Block Lab I've used. Lazy blocks. Gutenberg blocks and template editor by Otter is a new one on me. I've used Ultimate blocks before. Advanced Cubely Gutenberg blocks sounds neat. And Co-blocks I've used. Like, they have a bunch on here that are really good, and I've tested about half of them just playing around. So it's something that I can definitely recommend looking at, because like I said, the I got distracted by a comment again, because the block editor is only going to be more and more prevalent in the future. I see Michael Davidson ask, what about better SVG support? And my answer to that is yes, please. That is not a Divi thing. That is actually a WordPress thing. WordPress right now doesn't actually support SVGs natively. It has to be a third-party way of getting it in. It's a security issue, the way that SVGs are coded. Well, encoded, I guess is the way to put it. That's why you have to have a plugin and do it. I'm hoping that WordPress does implement a native SVG system that kind of strips out the security issues, because there are plugins that do this. It's just kind of clunky sometimes to get to use. We do have an article on that, but right now the better SVG support really will need to come probably in WordPress itself, because it's not actually supported, which still, it just breaks my heart. Like, it really does, because they're so useful. It's kind of like WebP, where at least you can do some stuff with WebP now with Jetpack, but still have to use a third-party plugin to do that. It'd be great if WordPress would build it in. I see Linda Bodkin says, I'm an absolute newbie and I have a lifetime. I want to keep learning more and more and improving. That is exactly what happens. I mean, you're going to learn so much just by poking around with it. I do suggest Jason and Donietta's live streams on Tuesday afternoons. They are the best Divi people that I've ever watched in person. I can't say that they're the best Divi people out there, because some of y'all are just insane, but I've never watched you work. So, but watching them work really will teach you how to do stuff, and that's specifically what those use cases are for. MB says, I think it's a mess to use both Gutenberg and Divi. Maybe it's just me. Yeah, it's a weakness right now that we are going to be really improving in the future. The next update looks really, really cool for that. I'm really looking forward to that being released. Right now, what I do is leave posts only for Gutenberg. I use the block editor for posts and completely disable the Divi editor, and then keep the Divi editor enabled on pages and custom post types, where I can use it as I need to with the theme builder and applying the templates and stuff like that. But it's under the builder tab in the Divi settings, that if you've had that issue with, yourself or clients working on different, like, actual writing blog posts and trying to use Gutenberg and Divi together, I just disable the Divi builder on posts, but keep it for pages. That's made my life a little smoother and a little bit simpler as I do big updates. And Uncle Social says, I want to build a site in Divi that lets clients use Gutenberg to update their blog posts. It will be far easier for them. Right now, that's the way that I would do it. I know you and I discussed this last week. I think that when we get the second version of the integration together as well, that it's going to be just even simpler the way that I've been told how it works. So. And we're coming up on the very end of the hour, so I want to cover, well, maybe not even cover, just mention what we've got on here. WP Events Manager review. That if you've been looking for an events manager, this one is actually really, really cool. It does a lot. There is a good commentary from Under Construction page on web design, the designer and the client, looking at this triangle. It is super interesting to look at the dynamics between them. If you've ever wanted to learn about React or React Native, Toots Plus has a list of tutorials and courses that you can use to do that. I thought that those would be interesting to somebody on here. And then the last one on my list, you guys, I got through all of the articles that we at least got to the bottom of the list. The last one on here is 4 mental health habits remote workers can use right now. This is something this time of year that's really important. I put this on here to remind you guys, to remind every person out there that holiday season is coming up. It's here. Next week is Thanksgiving in the U.S. And so this is a very stressful time of year for a lot of people. Make sure that you take time for self-care. Make sure that you take time, even if it is 5 minutes a day or less, just to focus on you, to breathe, to do something for yourself, even if it's taking 1 minute to close your eyes in the car before you get out of work or anything like that. Just make sure, or before your kids wake up, whatever it is. This is the time of year where people can get hit with anxiety and depression. And if that is something that you deal with, the WP and Up program is set up to help WordPress professionals with mental health issues, so you can look it up. This gives some good ideas of going out, maybe starting a light exercise routine. I have a light therapy lamp that I keep on beside me. I keep it actually right here while I'm working, so that it's just right there. It is very, very important that you take care of yourselves, and that mental health is very important. And this time of year, it can hit a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So as one WordPress professional to another, please take care of yourselves. Read that article, and if you run into any kind of issues, reach out, because we're one big community here, and we want to help each other. And that's what WP and Up is about. That's what the Starfish Reviews website is about. And that's what, the Divi community is about, helping each other. And I see Dave Doherty asks, while driving, and yeah, I used to actually do most of my meditating while driving. I had a 90-minute commute one way, and I would spend a lot of that practicing mindfulness breathing and a lot along those lines. So yeah, driving, you don't have to close your eyes and do it. It is just trying to be there and take care of yourself while you can. It very, very helpful for me that way. I see Linda asks, where do I find the Tuesday live stream? Right here. All of our live streams will be on our Facebook and YouTube pages, so they will all be here. The end card will have their times, but Tuesdays we have 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing the live streams, the use cases. On Fridays, we have the weekly WP Roundup here. And on Mondays, following feature releases, Mac will do a Q&A and walkthrough of the new feature at 6 a.m. on Monday mornings. So whenever that's released, we'll have him doing that. So it's going to be just great week for live streams when we do that. I do want to remind you guys that next week is a holiday in the U.S., so there will not be a Friday live stream next week because of the Thanksgiving holiday in the U.S., so I will see you guys in 2 weeks, but I really hope that you guys have a really fantastic holiday season. If you're not in the U.S. and you don't celebrate Thanksgiving at the same time that we do, I still hope you have a fantastic week and fantastic holiday weekend. I really, really am thankful for you guys. All of y'all who tune in have always make my week better, and I'm glad to see you here. I really am thankful for y'all, and I hope that every single one of you has a great time over the holiday and over the next couple of weeks. We will be back the week after Thanksgiving with this stream, like I said, and next week, remember that we do have the use case live stream at 3 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you ring the bell on YouTube and that you tell Facebook that you want to receive updates when this page goes live. Otherwise, simply liking the page or subscribing will not tell you when we've gone live. So y'all smash that like button. It helps more than you may realize. Really helps with the algorithm. And ring the bell and tell your friends. Bring a friend next time. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, y'all. I hope that y'all have a great holiday. Bye, everybody.